Hi, welcome back to another episode of Digital Brand Building with Bunjy. For today's episode, we have Ms. Nandini Varshnei, founder of the Armoire Pop Up, founder in Chennai. Hi, Nandini. Hope you're well.
Hi,
Hello.
Shweta. Thank you for
Yeah.
having me.
Let's just get right into the questions. Are you okay?
So this requires a little bit of a backstory. In what feels like another lifetime, I was actually working in a bank. I had just completed my master's in entrepreneurship from University College London in the UK and had just come back to Chennai. And I was only 21 at the time. So I felt that it was important that I first get my work ethics in place and learn the ways of the working world. So I decided to join a corporate job, but it was never my intention or my long term plan to stay in the corporate world. I always wanted to be an entrepreneur, but it was just a matter of what and when. And basically, I was always interested in fashion growing up. My friends and family would always look to me for fashion tips and advice. And to add to that, my family was always in the retail space as well. Both my mother and brother had franchises of well known Indian brands in Chennai. So a part of me is actually grown up around fashion. So you could kind of say that it's in my blood. So at that point in time, also exhibitions and trunk shows and pop-ups were on the rise in India, and there were not too many people doing this in Chennai at the time. And basically, there was a big gap in the market for affordable luxury. That is basically designer clothing, but without the designer price tags. So there were many high-end designer stores, and of course, there were the traditional lifestyle exhibitions happening in Chennai. But no one was doing or introducing young and emerging talent, which was also easy on the pocket and yet didn't compromise on quality. So that's where the Armoire came in. And one day I was just talking to my sister on the phone, and we were just throwing off ideas as to what I could do next. And this happened to just come up as an idea. And this was back in 2015, and there's been no looking back since then. I still remember my first show was out of a tiny corner in my mom's store with just a handful of designers. And now, over the years, we've grown to one of Chennai's biggest shows with 50 plus designers in some of the biggest venues in the city.
That is really impressive, Nandini.
So back when I started in 2015, things were very different. Social media was much less cluttered, so it was easier to grow your audience and to grow your follower base. Things are very different now, and Instagram algorithms keep changing every month almost. So we keep having to evolve ourselves, with the times. I still remember in my first show, the only social media marketing I had done was to get all my friends and family to post on their on their Facebook feeds. And all I had invested was 2,000 rupees in Instagram ads and Facebook ads. But fast forward to today, and this strategy would never work. Things have changed so much since then. So even we are having to keep up with the times. Basically, what has really clicked for us are, I mean, a couple of things. I've always said this in the past as well, that businesses shouldn't forget the social in social media. Soulless shop talk just doesn't cut it anymore. Brands need to infuse some personality to make themselves stand out from the crowd. So what I have done in the past as well is to try and champion my own brand. No one can be a better brand ambassador for you than yourself, for your product. You know your product the most. So you can probably champion it the best as well. So what I try and do is create some content around the clothes that I would be showcasing at the pop-up, or in more recent times that I'm retailing on my platform. And Instagram has also created so many features recently. There's IGTV, there's Reels, there's so many ways of engaging with your audience and creating interesting content. So yes, so one is that I would definitely, say you need to infuse some personality into your brand. The second strategy that has really worked is influencer and micro influencer marketing. So if your brand can afford big influencers, nothing nothing like it. I mean, we've also done a few collaborations that have worked really well in our favor. But what has really hit the nail is micro influencer marketing. So what we do in the lead up to all our exhibitions is basically do a photo shoot campaign where we invite, about 10 or 15 girls from Chennai social scene to come be a part of our photo shoot and wear our clothes and showcase their personal style. I mean, these aren't celebrities or bloggers or influencers or anyone. It's just everyday people like you and me, moms, working people, who kind of embody the brand and, would also, I mean, basically help us reach their audience. So it could be anywhere from 500 to a couple of thousand followers, but as long as they are reaching the right audience, I think it's worked really well for us. So these are the two things that I have done to kind of build the brand. And lastly, I mean, of course, it's your product, right? I mean, if you have a great product, I mean, no, I mean, you don't need to do very much. I mean, and at the same time, if your product isn't very good at its core, then no amount of marketing can, help take your product off the ground. So if you have a good product, I mean, basically it kind of markets itself. What I've also noticed with my exhibitions is that it's grown very organically and through word of mouth. I mean, people have come to our exhibitions and found value and kind of seen. Kind of helped us grow as well. So yeah. So in terms of social media marketing, it's basically creating interesting content, infusing some personality into our brand, tying up with the right influencers, tying up with the right micro influencers that has kind of helped build our brand.
That's really creative of you.
So basically, we do 3 shows in a year. There are the two big shows happen at the start of the year, which is our spring summer edition, which happens in February or March. And then we have the second big show is towards Diwali, which is towards the end of the year. And then sometimes we do a small trunk show or a concept pop-up shop in the middle, sometime in June, July. So we try and do 3 shows in a year, basically just keeping in mind with the shopping patterns, depending on festivals or wedding dates. And of course, also to clash with also the new collections that the designers introduce. So it's basically seasonal, I guess you could say.
Okay, right.
I don't think any business has been spared by COVID. So ours is it's not anything special. Of course, COVID has completely changed the way that we do business. So earlier, pre-pandemic, we were hosting exhibitions. And since the pandemic, we've taken our business online. So yes, of course, it has impacted us. We cannot do our large scale exhibitions anymore, keeping in mind government restrictions and safety guidelines as well. So we haven't been able to host any events during lockdown, of course. So we kind of preempted this, very early into the whole lockdown, that we need to do something and we need to do it fast in order to keep the business going and to be able to service our clients and also support our network of designers during this tough time. So yeah, so I mean, it has definitely affected the way we do our business.
Okay.
So setting up a physical store was never a part of the plan. It's still not a part of the plan, especially with, I mean, if the pandemic has taught us anything, it's about the importance of taking your business online. So, in terms of growing our business, we definitely hope to continue through the online sector. As I mentioned, we have taken our business online. We are already retailing through Instagram and Facebook. And we also send out curated lookbooks via WhatsApp. So we are already retailing through several social media platforms. But now I think the time has come to transition into a fully fledged website. So that is basically what we're looking at doing in order to grow the business. And of course, hoping that our exhibitions also come back soon. So the e-commerce has completely changed the way all businesses work. I mean, the retail sector at large, and also, of course, the fashion sector as well. Of course, on one side, it has completely decimated the physical retail sector, but at the same time, it's given so many younger emerging brands a platform to showcase their products and services, and it's made marketing your service also much easier. So it's twofold. Of course, it has impacted the retail sector, but at the same time, it's given us so much in terms of being able to market ourselves. Also, it has impacted the fashion scene in the sense that collections are evolving much quicker. What used to be, just a 1 or 2 cycle sort of annual cycle has now become, people are rotating 3, 4, 5 collections through the year, because there is such a much bigger audience as well to retail to. So yes, I mean, e-commerce has definitely changed the way that fashion works. And earlier we used to say, a click of a mouse, now it's tap of a finger, and who knows what next. So yeah.
Yeah. So
So I wouldn't say there's any one person or source or trend or anywhere where I get my inspiration from. It's basically I try and put myself in my client's shoes and see what it is that they're looking for. So if you ask me, where I derive my inspiration, it would be from my clients. I always try and think from the client's perspective. When it comes to my shows, I always think, what it is that my clients are looking for. What would I mean, if I was a client attending my show, what would I like to shop, what are the things that I would like to see. And similarly, I mean, when it comes to online, my online retailing, it's the same. I mean, if I was a follower of my page, I mean, what is the type of content I would like to see, what are the products that I would like to buy. So I always try and put myself in the client's shoe and think from their perspective, and that has really worked in our favor, because people really do find our shows and our the curation really relatable and really accessible.
that is very thoughtful of you.
So my first exhibition was, I mean, so different. I mean, compared to what one must have seen in their recent years. In fact, the format of the show was also very different. As I mentioned, my first show was out of a corner of my mom's store, and with only 2,000 rupees invested in like Facebook ads. So I wasn't really expecting very much. It was just I was just trialing the concept. I mean, I had this idea, but I wanted to know whether it's really a business. So I just started out small. The format was very different. The designers weren't there themselves. They would just send me the stock, and it was all up to me to be everything from the curator to the salesperson. So I was doing everything in between. So I still remember I was very nervous on my first show. I didn't know what to expect, whether anyone would even turn up. But as the clock struck 11 a.m., the door opened and someone popped their head in and asked, is this where the pop-up is happening? And that was my first customer, and she left with a good order and with great praise for the collection. And since then, there 100 others walked in, and then I knew that I had something on my hands. I actually had a business. So since then, I mean, it has grown very organically. Each show has been bigger and bigger than the last, and now we've evolved to being a very like a big exhibition in Chennai. We had more than 50 designers at one of our recent shows at one of the biggest hotels in the city. So now the designers do come themselves, and it's kind of evolved into a much bigger platform in Chennai.
That is very good.
So the two things that we focus on are quality and price. I want to make my show as approachable and accessible as possible. So we try and keep the price points as affordable as possible. We try and curate the show under 25,000. So, but at the same time, we do not compromise on quality. We have a very stringent selection process for the designers that we keep at our show. It shouldn't just, it's not just the price point, it's also being able to offer more bang for your buck. So its value is just as important. So we try and identify, little diamonds in the rough, lesser known hidden talent. So people that you don't typically see in Chennai, and at the same time who offer great value at great price points. So these are our two selection criteria.
That is really good.
We have some really exciting stuff coming up in terms of content, online content. As I mentioned earlier, that we have to keep ourselves relatable, and we have to try and find new ways of engaging with our audience. So this year we're working on a lot of content for our Instagram feed in terms of IGTV videos and reels that showcase our clothes. I mean, it's great when you see clothes on a model. When we post pictures, it's normally of a model, and that's, I mean, the model's job is to make clothes look great. So I mean, it is bound to look nice. But when you see it on on everyday people like you and me, that's when you really think that, oh, I can wear this in so many other ways, or that, oh, if she can wear it, I can wear it too. So we really want to put out some relatable content on Instagram. And at the same time, we're also looking at going online fully through a website. As I mentioned, we are already retailing through curated lookbooks. We are loading all our collections on Instagram and Facebook. So the next logical step would be to create a website. So that's what we're also working towards. And of course, we are also hoping to start our exhibitions again. Fingers crossed for being able to come back soon in terms of exhibitions as well. So we have a lot of stuff to look forward to.
That is really great. So that's about it. Thank you so much, Nandini. It was really good connecting with you.
Thank you so much